welcome to Past, Present, and Future, or Three Questions, the podcast where we learn about people's career journeys, how they got to where they are today, and where they'd like to go to next. I'm Parrots Cohen, a technologist and a wordsmith, and in my time in industry, I've been fortunate to work with both large companies and small startups, alongside a number of very talented and hardworking individuals. This podcast is some of my conversations with them, where we learn about their journeys and what motivates them. If you'd like to be in the podcast, please feel free to reach out. You don't have to have a certain level of seniority or a number of years of experience. We all have something to share and learn from each other. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast or get involved in the collaboration, we'd also like to hear from you. All right, looking forward to our journey together as we learn more about each other and enrich ourselves in the process.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today we have an amazing guest with us. We have Nick. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Thanks, Parrots. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, let's start at the beginning of your journey. What got you into technical writing and what really was the beginning of your career in tech?
Okay. So a long time ago when I was in college, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I figured I had taken a bunch of classes and I would just get, whatever degree basically I'd fulfilled the most of. And that turned out to be an environmental science degree. And I immediately worked in a chem lab. And I had this epiphany. I was pouring water into acid or acid into water, whatever you're not supposed to do. It started to get very warm. And I left the lab and said, I'm not coming back here. So a career change was in order. Luckily, I had taken a technical writing class at college, just as general ed requirements, and I'd really liked it. And this was kind of the .com era. So finding a job as a technical writer actually was very appealing. And there were some in my college town. There was one at HP as a contractor, and I fell in love. It was a great working environment. It was interesting. And, the people were great. It paid decently well. And so that's kind of where it all started. Trying to think kind of like from there. Basically, I'd worked on different technical writing jobs, sometimes as a contractor. And I got kind of my first really big break as a full-time employee in Hawaii, of all places. I was interviewing with a broadband test equipment company, just kind of on a lark, thinking, wouldn't this be awesome to work in Hawaii? I'd been there on vacation several times and stuff. And I didn't think it was, I didn't think they were going to pick me or anything like that. But they ended up really liking me. And I had a fantastic boss while I was there. And I continued to work at that company in Hawaii for 6 years. And during that time, I kind of recognized something about my industry, that it seemed like technical writers were somewhat in two different camps. One would be in the super technical camp, where they would want to run all the sample code. They would be able to talk really well with the engineers. They were just super, super technical and comfortable with the subject matter. And then there were other technical writers who had some of that as well. They were highly skilled, but they bent more towards the information architecture, kind of more the literature and human understanding and how people read technical content and how they learn. And for me, I had always been interested in computers and was interested in software engineering. And so I thought, I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to try to get a software engineering degree, because even if I don't end up going down the software engineering route, it's going to help me in my technical writing career. So that was a big milestone for me, was getting a degree in software engineering. And I had a fantastic boss in Hawaii. She was very accommodating. I could leave during the day and attend class and come back and work. And I remember one time she told me, yeah, you know what, if you want to go to class and stuff during the day and then come back and make up the hours, that's fine. Or don't. She was a really good proponent of work-life balance. She knew I could get the job done and I would get the job done. And so she was just a joy to work for. After that, I worked for a video game company. Actually, they own the rights to Tetris. The name of the company is Blue Planet Software, and that was a great company to work for as well. I had gotten into software engineering, so I was doing technical writing and a little bit of gameplay programming for them. We had a game called Tetris Stars that was on Facebook. It was pretty fun, and it had some early on AI features in it that were kind of made it more fun to play. So after that, fortunately, I got laid off when one of the games didn't perform as well as they had hoped. They kind of laid off the entire team and moved back to the mainland and kind of bumped around from technical writing jobs for a little bit. I had a brief stint at IBM. I worked for a slot machine manufacturer in Vegas, which I could do a whole hour on that subject. But during that time, Google came calling. They had seen my resume, and this was in the kind of 2014, 2015 period when the cloud was just kind of beginning for Google, and they were really on a hiring spree. So I interviewed several times with them. I'm pretty convinced nobody gets on with Google after the first round of interviews. And I accepted the job, and I worked in SRE doing technical writing for a while, and then moved into the external DevRel technical documentation field shortly thereafter. I think I was only in SRE for a year. So that was a big milestone, was working for a company like Google. It was fantastic. They really treat their employees well. It was just a dynamic place to work. And so I worked there for several years. And then unfortunately, I could kind of sense that, layoffs had been occurring at Google. It was going to be the third year, I believed, of consecutive layoffs. And then they kind of made an announcement saying, we're just going to have rolling layoffs now. And we're just going to, kind of keep doing layoffs. And that was kind of a sign for me that it was maybe time to pack up and look for greener pastures. And so I applied for a job at NVIDIA, and that's where I work today.
There's really a lot of great themes in what you shared. I could confirm also our paths crossed at Google. I could confirm I didn't get into Google after my first try. It's a rite of passage to go through multiple rounds of interviews. But I really liked what you shared about the kind of different types of technical writers, and the fact that even after having experience in the field, you want to get more of an academic grounding. And that was a really great piece to learn about as well. As much as you're able to, I know this is definitely a company with a lot of scrutiny these days. We can talk about more like in broad strokes. What type of products do you work on currently at NVIDIA?
So I work on their LLM NIM product and their VLM NIM, which is their large language model product and their visual language model product. So basically you can, of course, run inference on NVIDIA hardware. It's pretty adept at doing that. And so I've been working on the technical documentation for those two products.
The question that I had, I kind of picking up the thread of earlier of kind of that experience versus kind of getting the academic grounding, thinking about your experience and kind of the path that you took in learning about the field, in light of the current developments when it comes to AI and how it's impacting all industries, especially technical writing, what do you think the future looks like? And what do you advise to someone getting into technical writing today to be prepared for that future or the potential trends that may occur?
Yeah, that's a great question. I kind of had a epiphany just this week when it came to technical writing and AI. So we use Cursor, which I'm sure a lot of technical writers do for writing. And one of my friends at work had said, you've been using Cursor for just kind of minor stuff like formatting or, just kind of low level tasks. He said, you really need to view AI like it's a really sharp intern. So you can tell this intern to do just about anything that you would normally do in a writing task, and it's going to do a pretty good job. You don't really have to worry about it messing up. And even if it does, you can revert and go back. And I had always kind of held back from using it too much, thinking it's going to mess it up. I'm going to waste time doing this. I'm going to have, just we use GitLab and stuff to commit our docs and things like that. And I just thought this is just going to make a mess of things. But he's a seasoned technical writer. I trust him. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take your advice. And so for the last couple of days, I've been doing that. I've been treating it kind of like an intern and specifying exactly what I want and describing things. And it's just blown my mind of how well it can do the kind of tasks I do. I would always do, get commands from the command line and things like that. I'm just now telling Cursor to commit and push, and it's doing it, and it's writing good commit messages, and it's checking for connectivity, if I have errors. I was able to make this whole menu like JavaScript picker for this document that I've been working on. And I had tried to brute force it using Golang, which is fine, but that took me about a week to do, to make this kind of menuing picker system. And Cursor did it in less than a day. So I would just describe exactly what I wanted, how I wanted to filter some JSON, and it came through like a champ. And it just really blew my mind, that the power that it could do it. I've always been a little bit skeptical about AI and how it can automate things, but after these last couple of days, I think I'm a true believer. So that segues into the question you asked, like what do I see as AI in our field and things like that. And I have a hope and I have a fear. Unfortunately, the fear is seems to be coming first, and that's that the technical writing jobs may be a little bit on the decline. I think Microsoft published a study about the career fields that are most likely going to be impacted by AI. And of course, tech writing is pretty high on that list. And I can kind of see why that is. I jokingly asked my wife, okay, so here's the list of jobs that are going away. Can you help me pick one from the jobs that AI can't really touch yet? And on that list was, I think, embalmer and surgical tech and things like that. So we had a laugh, because I get pretty squeamish around blood and dead bodies, so I got to keep looking. So that was my fear, is that we're going to lose jobs in the tech writing field, at least in the near term. My hope is that this companies are so empowered by the abilities of AI to produce good documentation, and tech writers really utilizing it in their workflows, that these companies become 1,000x more productive. Like the companies of tomorrow, I see being able to harness AI to just leapfrog what they're doing right now. And so I have a feeling that the tools for tech writers will change as we go into the future. And I really see that tech writers are going to continue to add a lot of value to the process. So if a company today is laying off tech writers kind of in this short term because they feel like they don't need that job role, my hope would be that the companies of tomorrow are so productive that they can identify that they do need tech writers. They're highly skilled in these tools to just be way more productive than they are today for the entire company, and to add just so much more value than just not having them would be.
I think something really, something that kind of stood out to me is there's definitely the short-term reaction to when people think about kind of the one-dimensional aspect of technical writing. But I think something else that's coming into focus, and hopefully kind of industry as large will pay attention to, is that the content, the writing is just one aspect of it. It's an ecosystem. It's an aspect of user experience, or supporting your users who use your product. And by offloading some of the more kind of junior level aspects of the tasks, technical writers can actually kind of live out to even more like a larger potential of really helping the experience for users, reducing your support volume by having clearer docs or more well architected infrastructure around documentation. I have a very large appreciation for the discipline, and I dabble a little bit. I'm going to I'll qualify it as dabbling. So definitely very appreciative of what the discipline does. That was like,
you're right.
yeah.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I don't just write docs, and so that part of there's other parts of my job that go into improving the product on a whole, not only from the user experience, but from other aspects as well. And those aspects aren't going to go away anytime soon because of AI. And so if I can focus more on those, that's actually going to benefit the product.
The one other question I'll ask, if you're up for it, I would love to hear a little bit. You mentioned it, and I'm going to kind of circle back to it. What was it like being a technical writer in a gaming environment, specifically kind of in a casino gaming environment?
Vegas is a really wild place. It feels like nobody is actually from Vegas. Everyone is just stopping there for a little bit before they head on somewhere else. We lived in Henderson, which is kind of a nicer family suburb of Vegas, but you're still close to the epicenter of the Strip there. It was interesting working for the slot machine manufacturer. It was about as opposite from Google as you could possibly get. Very top down, very structured. Like, of course, within Google, it's let's thrive in ambiguity. It's not really that way in the slot machine world. Everything is pretty much set. Yeah, it was an interesting place. The number one question I always got asked was, of course, okay, so you're the technical writer for these machines. How do I beat them? And I would always tell them the same thing. It's like, there's no way to beat them because of math. It's all just math. There's nothing really necessarily shady going on within the slot machine or anything that you can do to hijack it. You're just going to lose because that's what the math says is going to happen. So yeah, I enjoyed my time working there. It was pretty brief. I was only there for 2 years. The people that worked there were really fantastic, and we would always play just board games and things like that at lunch, because if you're a part of that industry, you're kind of have the gamer mindset to go along with it. So it was fun.
Thank you so much. Learning a bit about tech writing and about your career, and a lot of great themes I picked up along the way. The importance of having supportive management, the ability to follow your interests and try different things. And so thank you so much for joining the show today. Thank you, Nick.
I'm glad I could attend. Thanks for having me.